So my point I'm trying to make is that you guys are saying his character is horrible. He's this, he's that. I'm not disagreeing with that. My question though, did he do one thing, good thing for the country? He could be a liar. He could be despicable. He could kick your dog. He can do all that. But in terms of policies, Cynthia, I'm going to come back to you again. Has he done one good thing in your mind of policy? Forget the characterization, just policy.
I'm sorry, Tony, there's nothing I can even think that he did right. If he woke up this morning, that wasn't right.
The award-winning A Black Executive Perspective podcast presents Pull Up, Speak Up, where meaningful conversations drive progress and every voice makes a difference. So, what's on the table for discussion today?
It's time to show up, speak up, and get real. Welcome to Pull Up, Speak Up, a new series from a Black Executive Perspective podcast, your safe space for raw, unfiltered, and honest discussions on the tough issues many shy away from. I'm your host, Tony Tidbit.
And I'm your co-host, Chris P. Reed. Before we get started, we always like to start with a shout out to our partners at Code M Magazine. Code M Magazine, whose mission is saving the Black family by first saving the Black man. Check them out at codemmagazine2ms.com.
Definitely check them out. And today, our roundtable will unpack Trump's first 6 months through the voices of a divided Iowa County. We'll explore the views on immigration, healthcare, and national unity. Then we're going to turn into the legacy of interracial marriage, 58 years after it was legalized, spotlighting both progress and painful personal moments that reveal how far we still have to go.
Today's roundtable panel features a powerhouse lineup of panelists. Powerhouse. Trust me on this, guys. This is going to be magnificent. Bringing their unique perspectives and dynamic insights back to the conversation. First, Gayle McMillan, COO and godmother of a Black Executive Perspective podcast. Gayle McMillan, welcome to Pull Up, Speak Up.
Thank you, Chris. Happy to be here.
Next, Tiffany Morrison, fractional consultant, branding and communications. Tiffany, welcome to Pull Up Speak Up.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
And rounding out the panel, Cynthia Allison Hall, the managing partner. Cynthia, welcome to Pull Up Speak Up.
Thank you, Chris. Looking forward to it.
All right.
Well, guys, we're looking forward to this as well. We got a couple of great topics. We want to definitely hear you guys' perspectives on it. So we don't, obviously we don't want you to hold back, tell it what time it is. So we've already went through the grounds rules with you guys. You guys been brief. So all I need is a thumbs up saying that you guys accept the ground rules. Okay, cool. I think we're pretty much all ready to go. Pull up, speak up. Let's do it.
President Trump marking 6 months in the White House this month. So we send our very own Steve Ducey to Cedar Falls, Iowa, a county that was split nearly down the middle in the election to get the pulse of the people.
Welcome to Cedar Falls, Iowa. This is a perfect place to talk politics because the county is split right down the middle.
I love the guy.
I had never supported him.
Donald Trump lost by just a little. So let's ask the people how they feel about his first 6 months in office. If you were going to give the president a grade as you look at the first 6 months of his administration, what would the grade look like?
I'd say an A+.
I'll give him a B-.
A-?
C-.
I just like everything he's doing for the country, for the military, for the people.
I'm concerned about the tariff wars.
There's a lot of concern for healthcare. Not a teacher fan here. I think he has very poor judgment.
What do you think, Paul, the number one thing he has done that you go, that's my favorite thing?
Well, the border's obviously the big thing that I think he's taken care of. I think the economy's doing well. Obviously, the stock market's at record highs.
Right.
My 401k balance is higher than it's ever been.
I like what he's doing. I like the direction the country's going, and I think it's positive for all, and hopefully we come together in that.
When he got elected, he had a vision. Do you think he's following that game plan?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about it, yeah. But I think sometimes he'll predict something, and he's largely correct, but sometimes he's a little ahead of himself.
I agree, obviously, if somebody's not here legally, then they probably should be removed, but maybe there's a better way to do it.
So, Sassy, you voted for Trump, right?
That's right.
So how's he doing?
Well, he's doing
great.
Love the border policy. I love the tax policy. I love the foreign policy. You know, America is no longer a joke. America is taken seriously.
So, guys, you heard that. Now, obviously, Iowa was the first state where we had the primary, right? Iowa, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where they took that poll, was split down the middle. And actually, Trump didn't win Cedar Rapids, but he did win Iowa. So, Tiffany, Trump's been in office for 6 months. You've heard everybody else's how they graded him for the first 6 months. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts is that I cannot believe everything that he's managed to do or undo in 6 months. It's just been a little bit like my head is on a swivel in terms of everything he's been able to unravel and accomplish. And it's like, it's only 6 months. We have 3.5 more years of, can you only imagine what's going to happen over the next 3.5 years? It's just been pretty crazy to see what he's been able to do, from the Supreme Court, from dismantling all kinds of fundamental civil rights, from sending in the military into California. Like, it's just a lot, and can't believe it's only been 6 months.
Got it. Gayle, what grade would you give him, and what's your thoughts?
Oh, God. Well, first of all, 6 months feels like 6 years, because when I saw it was only 6 months, my head spun. I would give him an F, because he's a fool.
Now, why do you say you give him an F?
He's a fool. Because, yes, he has a lot of action, but an impact, but the impact is not positive. The only positive impact is to him and his billionaire cronies. There's no impact to middle America, to what people consider normal Americans. His intention is only to make the United States better for him, nobody else.
Oh, so I forgot to give a grade.
Okay.
My grade, honestly, would be a B. I would give him a B because he was elected to do certain things, and he's doing them, and he's not wasting any time.
Okay. All right, cool. Chris, buddy, jump in now.
I would love to ask you about specifics, but we'll get to it. I see Cynthia kind of leaning in, so I feel like she wants to give a grade. I don't know if she used to be a teacher or a teacher's pet, but she wants to give a grade so bad, so I'm gonna let her cook.
When I tell you my head is about to explode, it's about to explode. It is amazing to me how some people view the world. There is no way you could give this guy other than a failing grade, because he is not the president of a few. He's president of many, and he doesn't take into consideration all the people that he is charged to govern. And you can't make decisions like I always think about in corporate America. Every decision that you make, you have to be strategic with it and know that there's going to be a repercussion. And it's just a waste of time the way he just governs. Like, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I decided to sign an executive order to do X, Y, Z, and he doesn't think it through. He doesn't check. He doesn't have an understanding of how government and governing people work. And to hear people like, oh my God, I love it, he's great. It blows my mind.
Because he knows he can do it unchecked. He knows that.
Yes.
He knows the first 4 years, first time around, was his dress rehearsal. Now he knows what he can do, and he's doing it. He knows he can do these things unchecked.
But I do have to ask you, Tiffany, you said that he was elected with a purpose and he's fulfilling said purpose, which is why he got the grade of a B. But I've heard, for the most part, that even those who elected him, by large parts, the cattle ranchers, the people who were talking about the deportations and things of that nature, who are losing the migrant workers, the produce section, the all of these people who elected him for something, thought that he was going specifically at the criminals, thought that he was going specifically. He said a lot of things that he's not abiding by his constituency with. So how would he get a B if he lied to them or deceived them? And the market has done worse this year than it had in numerous years. So even from a get the economy straight and what you say, cost of eggs, Tony, was it eggs or milk or what was it?
It was eggs. It was eggs.
And
right.
the eggs are horrible. The eggs are horrible. So how did he get a B when he's failed the things that he said specifically to those people he was going to deliver?
Well, I feel like most of us or all of us on this panel discussion are from coastal cities. And when you look at look at middle America, they are not dissatisfied with what he is doing. My understanding is they are not dissatisfied, even though he's going after, some of the migrant workers, which I disagree with. But even though they're collateral damage, they're not so upset about that. Things like tariffs, they haven't really come in yet. And by the way, think about what it was like under Biden. It wasn't any rosy economy under Biden. So I think people are, and when I say people, I'm saying meaning conservatives, willing to give him this honeymoon period.
Here's the thing, though. Hold on one second, though, Chris.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna let you jump in, but I just want to. So when we just watched the clip, right? People gave specifics. Yeah. They said, "Hey, he did this for immigration. I like his tax policy," regardless if that's true or not. But they were given specifics in terms of why they gave him a grade, whatever grade was, right? So from Tiffany's standpoint, she's not actually, I hear it. You may not like the person, okay? You may not like him, okay? But at the end of the day, he was voted to close the borders, right? That's what he did. And hey, look, I'm not trying to be an apologist. I'm just going by what the dude said he was going to do, right? Now, he didn't say how he was going to do it. He didn't say he was going to be, Mr. Friendly.
Right.
All right. But based on what he did, people, that's why, at least in that clip, they gave him the grade that they gave him. And you can disagree with, I don't agree the stock market is better. Like the one dude said, I'm making more money in my 401k. That's subjective. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
he doesn't even look at it. Right. So, but go ahead to your thought. That's what I just wanted to throw in.
So my thought, now I'd like to bring you in on this, Gayle. Gayle, the subsidies that the farmers were receiving got cut off via Doge. Okay. And they are complaining about it to the high heavens. So many farmers, middle Americans, I'm from the Midwest, they are complaining that they can't make it with the new laws and things that have been established. That's number one. And then the next thing that I want you to lean in on is securing the border means to stop people from coming in. I've heard zero evidence that people have stopped coming in. All I hear is that we're paying thousands of dollars to fly them somewhere else. So those juxtapositions don't really relate to me very well, but you may be able to educate me on how sending people away is securing the border.
It's time to rethink your protein. AgileLab's protein bars are crafted with high-quality protein, double the leucine, and enriched branched-chain amino acids, essential for optimal muscle recovery. Finally, a protein bar that works as hard as you do. So visit agilelabs.com and use the code BEP to get 20% off. That's agilelabs.com, promo code BEP.
Well, first of all, I just want to comment on what Tony said with the clip. Look at the clip's demographic. I don't think that that is a demographic of the full United States. That is a segmented portion of the United States.
That's fair. Yep.
So come on. In terms of securing the border, I don't see them securing the border. All he's doing is sending people or ICE in wherever he can send them in the middle of a playground, in a school, and then he sets up what he calls Alligator Alley. Right. He has these terms just to show whoever is supporting him that he's doing something. He's not there for the farmers. If he was there for the farmers, he would be for immigration. Who the hell do you think goes in the fields and pick all those fruits and vegetables? Right. It's not you and me.
Yeah, right. And that's my point. That's my point. Implementing strategy, but think it through. Yes. There's no succession planning. He goes in and he wreaks havoc, and then It's like letting off a bomb, and then he walks away and say, "You deal with it. I'm out." And that's not.
Or you're
That's not.
stupid. Yep.
That's not good leadership. It really isn't. There's no way in the world I would ever grade him anything other than a failing grade, because his policies, his manner of how he deals with people and talks to people is deplorable, and it always has been. I just don't get this government, and I don't get anybody that follows him. I don't.
Let me ask this last question. Let me ask this question to you, Cynthia. I want to stick with you. So, in the way that diversity has become to mean Black folks and women, I would like to challenge the idea that immigrants are all laborers. Because there are immigrants, people who came to this country like his grandparents or others who don't, work by the sweat of their brow.
Correct.
Why is it that his base wants to castigate these people who come into the country for greater opportunity to all be picking cherries or whatever the case may be? Why does that make them feel comfortable?
Superiority. I mean, you can't have what I have. You can't. So you pick a group of people, because they're not the only illegal immigrants in this country, but you see them time and time again being harassed at schools and playgrounds, at grocery stores, at their place of business. If you are looking for a day laborer, you better think again. They don't hang out at the Home Depot anymore. They're hiding, and when they were already illegal, I think that the challenges of how to maneuver in this country was already challenging, but now they're scared to death to even walk out the door. It's just no strategy, no succession planning, nothing. I'm just doing, and a lot of it is for theatrics, because if you can show on the media these masked men going in, breaking windows, and pulling people out, that it's just like, look at that. And then he probably sits just like he did during the January 6th insurrection. He's laughing about it, and it's not right. It's not right.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's not what America stands for. And anybody that he does not like, he doesn't have a problem. He said he was going to deport Rosie O'Donnell. Who does that?
Right.
She's already
An
left.
American citizen.
She moved to
let me,
Ireland.
Yeah,
but let me,
but he wants to take away her citizenship.
Oh.
right. Well, let me ask you this though, Tiffany. So thanks, Cynthia. Let me ask you this. So it's 6 months. Based on your opinion, based on how you view his actions, inactions, right or wrong, has he done anything good that you can name over the first 6 months he's been in office?
Well, I know Chris mentioned that the border hasn't actually been closed, but my understanding is that the number of illegal immigrants coming across the border is down substantially. And
that is true. It is down.
So I think that's a good thing. And it's, again, as someone in California, there's pros and cons to the illegal immigration, but I do think that closing the border is a good thing. Also, I'm kind of flip-flopping and seesawing on the tariff issue because my verdict is still out, but I feel like he is getting countries to come to the table and deal with us on trading, where the previous administration didn't have the backbone. So I do appreciate, even though he's, like Cynthia said, doesn't seem like there's really any strategy there, but at least he's calling out the issue. So I think that's also, I don't necessarily want to say it's a good thing, but I'm on the fence about it. And I do appreciate that there's some action being taken.
Okay.
Gosh, I sound like a conservative. I'm not a conservative.
No. Just say how you feel. So, Gayle, what do you think? Has he done anything in the last 6 months that you consider a good thing?
Oh, God. So,
Cynthia, I know Cynthia's look on her face, so that tell me flat out. She was like,
with Tiffany, if he had a plan as to what he was doing, but he doesn't. And no, he is a constant embarrassment. There is nothing, I'm sorry. Every time I turn on the news, and I've tried to limit myself to turning on the news, it's like, oh God, what did he do next? And look, a couple months ago, I was out of the country, and people were telling me, they're like, look, we're not spending any money in the United States for the next 4 years because of who your president is. They said that it's nothing against the American people, it's against the American president. So no, I don't think he's done any good. One of the jobs as president is to show how good your country is. If we're the land of opportunity, where the hell is it? Really, answer that question. Right now, it's just very depressing. And I've never been embarrassed to live in the United States as much as I am right now.
Cynthia, what's your thoughts?
I agree. I think there's not one positive thing I could even say about him. I think that he's the kind of guy that would kick your dog. I think he would. I think he would call the law if you had your music playing too loud. There is not one positive thing I can say about this guy. He is a habitual liar. I don't even know how people believe a word that he says. And the Epstein debacle is going on, and I heard him say, "It's good. We're good." The deputy director, I think he reports into his district attorney, a U.S. district attorney. Oh, he's good. He's great. And that's not true.
But here's the thing,
was
though.
ready to resign. It's not true.
Right.
So here's the thing, though, and this is where I'll push back a little bit. So I'm not disagreeing with what Gayle said. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, Cynthia, right? It reminds me, I watch all these true crime type stuff, right? And it reminds me here where, there was a husband that was a philanderer, right? He was messing around with his wife left and right, and then she ends up dead. Okay. And so now he's on trial for murder, right? And his defense attorney says to the jury, as soon as he opened his statements, like, look, is he a bad husband? Yeah. Is he an adulteress? Yeah. That don't make him a murderer. All right. So my point I'm trying to make is that you guys are saying his character is horrible. He's this, he's that. I'm not disagreeing with that. My question, though, did he do one good thing for the country? He could be a liar. He could be despicable. He could kick your dog. He can do all that. But in terms of policies, Cynthia, I'm going to come back to you again. Has he done one good thing in your mind of policy? Forget the characterization, just policy.
I'm sorry, Tony. There's nothing I can even think that he did right. If he woke up this morning, that wasn't right. Okay. I just think when you
says if he woke up this morning, that ain't right.
I've got a little season on all of you, and I remember a time when your politician flubbed. People just reacted to it in a way that if your integrity. If they couldn't trust your integrity, the politician that cheated on his wife, we've never heard from him again.
You talking about what's his name?
Was it John Edwards?
John Edwards. John Edwards. There was another dude, but there was another dude before him who was sitting on the boat with Don. He was just sitting on the boat with Donna Rice. Gary Hart. Right? He was just sitting on the boat. They just got a picture, and that was it.
And he was so out of here. But when you hear this man talk about grabbing women and they let you do it if you're famous, what are we doing here, guys? And he's holding the highest office in this land. No, there's nothing he can do or has done that I say, way to go. And, I was telling Gayle earlier, we really want his success, because his success would be our success. But there is not one thing I can think that this guy has done or destined to do that is going to be noteworthy? Nothing. No.
Yep. He perpetuates that whatever he does is okay. And it shows young kids, young adults that they can do whatever the hell they want and get
Yep.
away with it.
Well,
Yep.
the government,
And that's where
there's 3 branches of government.
Go ahead,
There's
I'm
supposed
sorry,
to be
Tiffany.
checks and balances. So what's wrong with the other branches that are letting him do whatever the heck he wants to do? Like he
They have no balls.
Excuse me.
Because everybody's concerned about their salvation.
Yep.
They're concerned about, well, I want this good paying job as long as I can have this good paying job, and I'm not going to rock the boat. And what they've done is they've let, well, I was going to say devil, but I won't do it, into this office, and he's wreaking havoc, guys. And it's not right. I mean, you know, I think about HBCUs and how they're going to be funded. And these children, how are they going to be educated? And then everything that was implemented with debt, student loan forgiveness, he repealed it. Come on, and he's not paying attention to me, the seriousness of running this country. It's just like, you wake up one morning and say, well, I'm just going to send some bombs over to Iran, and nobody's going to say anything about it, and nobody even freaking knew that he did it.
Right.
And you mentioned, Tiffany, about the different stages of government, executive, and yes, there should be some checks and balances, but it is just all over the place. I don't even watch the news. I don't.
Yep. Go ahead, Chris.
I'll say this to what you were saying, Tiffany, about the judicial, the legislative, and the executive branch. It is designed and written and established to have checks and balances. But when you disregard the rules, when, like Gayle said, the rules don't apply to you because you have a supremacist mindset, that is where the danger is enlisted for us as normal citizens. And then the other thing that you ladies were saying is we're mistaking movement for action. We keep saying he has all these actions, but it's just a shell game, and there's a lot of movement. And what it comes off as is something similar to Munchausen syndrome, right? So where you poison the person in order to be the hero and nurse them back to health. He's poisoning the United States in order to say, if it works out, hey, look at what I did. Because we forget about how soon we forget how bad it was. He wants to be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize after he just bombed Iran, like the oxymoronic dynamics of his perspectives. And so I find it to be dangerous because we can cast a false grade on this based on what happened yesterday.
Well, it's interesting.
Like
I was
our memories are so short.
Zakaria on CNN, who I take to be very, respected journalist. And he said that, I forget what it was, that if Donald Trump is able to accomplish it, he would support him being selected or elected for a Nobel Peace Prize. And I almost fell down on the floor when I was like, Fareed Zakaria said that. So,
but here's the thing, though, guys, and I hear, what I'm hearing is character. I'm hearing slime ball. I'm hearing all the, and I get it. So there's no disagreement here. I think everybody agrees. But the question, my final question on this segment, and I'll go around and I'll start with you, Gayle, is that we know that as being the president, regardless what party you're affiliated with, the country is a big country. And at the end of the day, regardless if you like the president or not, at the end of the day, there are things in every administration, no matter how horrible the person is, that administration did something good. Because at the end of the day, they could just fall into it. So in other words, you can take Nixon, you can take anybody who you may think he was a crook. He was a liar and this and that, but there was something under the Nixon administration that he did, right? Regardless if you like him or not. That's my point here, right? So I get a sense that we're mixing character and dastardly deeds and all and power and all those things and ego and narcissism. I get all that, but it's like a company. When you have a big company, Cynthia, you worked at AT&T. You know, a big company, when you got 25, 30, John Stanky could be horrible, but the people underneath the company, some of them are doing good stuff. All right. You can't, because if it wasn't, it would go under. So my point is, regardless of you like him or not, there is going to be a policy. You may not agree with anything right now. But my point is, every president, regardless if you like him or not, they don't do all good stuff and they don't do all bad stuff. Okay. There is good stuff, regardless if you like him or not, that happens in that administration. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yes, I will agree on that. Yes, you don't have to like every single president. And if you don't, there is still some good in it. First of all, he is not presidential. He is not. And I cannot classify him with any of them. There are presidents that I did not like, but do I think that they did good things? Yes. This dude is a marketing plan in his own head. That's all he is. He is not presidential at all. One bit. No.
Yep. I agree.
I'm sorry.
And I'm not convinced that he can read.
Wow.
So
we know he can't spell.
Okay.
And punctuate.
Okay.
I don't think that was a prerequisite. I don't think those things were in the Constitution as prerequisites for the president.
He does not know his geography.
It would have been nice. It would have been nice. That would have been nice. Those are nice to haves. I guess the fact is, so obviously, one of the things that we come from a generation where certain roles, leader of the free world, is held in high esteem. And Gayle has just articulated that he's diminishing the esteem of the position. And Tony, you talked about the position versus the person. In the idea of being able to live and walk the walk and respect the position, the one thing that he's done in action is disrespect the position or the role by not being able to put his personality, his self, outside of his policies.
Thank you, because it's all about his personality.
Yes, he can't make that distinction clearly for many of the viewers to see the difference between him being able to say, you know what, I don't want this, or I don't necessarily like this, but for the good of the nation, or the good of the people, or the good of the economy, I'm going to begrudgingly. He's never done anything begrudgingly. He's never endorsed anything begrudgingly. Nope. It's what he wants. And something that you said earlier, Cynthia, the Ivy League, it's not just HBCUs. He attacks education as a whole.
Yep. And you saw where all of these layoffs are occurring in the Department of Education.
Yeah.
It's frightening times. And what does that do when you have all these mass layoffs? What does that do to the economy? And then the private sector is holding tight. They're not hiring. I mean, it's just a bomb about to explode. It really is.
Right. So listen, I can see here that we're not, so look, it don't matter 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 5 years. You guys are where you are today. It would be great to have you come back on after a year and let's see, what that looks like.
Well, I think ironically, we all will have somewhat aged, at least the guys will have, as if we were in the presidency.
Yes,
you know what I mean? At that point in time. But so I know we're going to jump to another segment, another topic. But before we do that, I just want to add some more color and some commentary to the wonderful panelists that we have here. So I want to give you a chance, to introduce yourself, what you do, maybe identify a passion of yours besides this. and so we'll have a little bit more to go on. So I'll start with you, Gayle McMillan.
Of course. So my background is in sales and marketing. And I have never had a job that I did not like. I always made it into something that I would enjoy. Passions of mine. I love reading. I love traveling, and I love walking and just figuring things out. That's my aha moments, is when I walk.
Cool. Cool. Okay. And now I'll extend the same opportunity to you, Tiffany.
Sure. Professionally, I'm a marketer, primarily brand strategy by day, and then a mom by day and night, managing the chaos of a teenager. And I am a California transplant. So I'm originally from the East Coast, but I've been in Los Angeles for over 2 decades, and now consider myself a resident of the United States of California, as we like to jokingly call it. I'm very opinionated. I love getting on meetings with Cynthia and Gayle, and those meetings that are supposed to be an hour go for like 2 to 3 hours. I just love chatting and chopping it up with these ladies. I love doing outdoorsy things. I love reading. Oh, I'm a dog mom as well. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay, cool. All right. And the same is extended to you, Miss Cynthia.
Well, thank you. I am professionally years and years as in communications, project manager, corporate communications, and when I pivoted, I found the design, interior design, is a passion, and I'm working on a few projects there, and I'm working with the podcast, and find it to be one of my privileges to do that because I've seen it go from a thought to this beautiful reality. I travel. I like to travel. I love to help where I can, and that's me.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, again, thank you all for, again, being on here. The first segment was insane. So I can't wait to we dive into this segment as well.
54 years ago this weekend, the United States Supreme Court struck down all legal barriers to interracial marriage. We've come a long way since then. But as Rita Braver reports, there are some barriers that still remain.
Corn, the green beans, watermelon.
When Friends introduced Carlos Brock to Tanya Bohannon in 1996, they both just knew.
Oh, man, it was just something about her, the vibe that she put off. I was like, that's what I want to marry.
He was really nice. He was different than anybody that I had ever dated before. He was just very genuine and kind.
When your parents realized that you were seriously interested in someone from a different race, what was their response?
My mother wasn't, she was cool with it, but there's some still today don't accept it, but we don't care.
Sorry. I still get emotional. It's been many years.
Who gave you a hard time about it?
I don't want to say, but it was someone very close to me that basically just disowned me.
Nowadays, you can hardly open a magazine.
Quite the pair.
Just like us. Or turn on the TV without seeing interracial couples.
English, please. Are you getting married?
According to the Pew Foundation, at least 19% of new marriages in the U.S. now involve spouses from different ethnic or racial groups, up from 11% in 2000. And the General Social Survey found that only 1 in 10 Americans would oppose a close relative marrying someone of a different race or ethnicity.
Are interracial marriages more difficult?
They can be because they're more multi-layered. There comes into play a lot more barriers than what a non-interracial couple will have to face.
So guys, 58 years ago, the Loving case in 1967 changed interracial marriage. Prior to then, it was against the law, and I believe in 16, 17 states. Also, there were only 3% of marriages nationwide that were interracial. If you guys remember the movie, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, with Sidney Poitier and Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, that was in 1967, right? Where, to be fair, some states didn't even show that movie. Oh, they showed it, but they didn't show them holding hands and stuff to that nature, right? So now, 58 years later, now 19% of all new marriages are interracial, right? Only 1 out of 10 now today will have an issue with it. But why is it? And I'll go to you, Gayle. Why is we still having a problem today when it comes to interracial marriages? You heard on the clip, the lady's family disowned her.
So that's a big question. My opinion is I think a lot of people, I'm going to say ignorant, but ignorant in the form of they just don't understand. So there's going to be some that will never be open to understanding. There are some that honestly, if you just explain to them, we're all the same people. We may look a little different on the outside, but on the inside, we're all the same people. And then they may have an aha moment. I don't think it's 100% ever going to be accepted, because I think a lot of people say that they're okay with it, but underneath, I think there's some people that still aren't. And I don't know if that will ever change. My hope is that it will, but I don't think it will ever change.
Tiffany, thanks, Gayle. Tiffany, again, 1 in 5 marriages are new marriages is interracial, right? Do you see America being more accepting or just more tolerant on the surface?
Well, let me start by saying that when my parents were married, their interracial marriage was illegal. So that's crazy to think how far we've come.
So talk a little bit about that. When did your parents get married? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So my dad is African American and my mom is Caucasian, and they married in 1967, prior to the Loving decision. But they were in New York, so it was legal there. But still, like they would I have relatives in North Carolina, and they would be afraid to drive down to visit because if they stopped somewhere, what could happen? Because so I feel like times have changed a lot. And I remember growing up, you never saw like commercials on television with an interracial husband and wife and children. You never saw that. And so it's normal, which I feel like we've come a long way. It's normal now to see an ad, whether it's Black, white, Asian, white. It's become normalized. But I do think that, and as we've seen from the recent political system, we live in a racist country. And so I don't think it's ever going to be okay with some people. But we've come a long way since the Loving Day. And I even remember being the only person, my sister and I being the only biracial kids in our entire school. And I can't, nowadays, there's so many, I think that would be a rare situation nowadays. Like our family was a weirdo family.
Even in New York.
Well, sorry, they got married in New York, but I grew up in suburban New Jersey. So, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Got it. Cynthia, your thoughts?
It is will we ever accept it? We can't even accept the differences just with people. So regardless, the marriage issue is something entirely another level. We have got to learn as a society, we are all here with the same mission, and people are falling in love and living their lives, and it is what it is, and you don't judge it. It is what it is. And I think this country struggles with all kinds of identity and racial and classism and all of that. We just struggle, and we should be so beyond that at this point. So it breaks your heart to see that this is even still something we're talking about,
Let me ask a question, and Tiffany, because of your experience, I want to start with you. Is it had it been an issue? And I understand the legalities of it. Let's go beyond that. Let's go to the culture, okay? If your mom had not been a Caucasian woman and she had have been of another minority or classified minority group, whether she had been Latino or something like that. Would that have been greater accepted in North Carolina? Or was it he was black and he had to marry a black woman? Because in my experience, being in the Midwest, it's only when you put an Asian person, like we don't really bat an eye at an Asian person marrying a white person or a black person marrying a Latino person. Or, it's just when a white person is involved, because of that majority minority dynamic, it tends to have a different effect emotionally and culturally than when it's other minorities. But I could be wrong. Give me your experience in that.
I don't know. I do think that when you add a white person into the equation, it does make it a little bit more sensitive and polarizing for people. But I do know I've spoken with friends who are Indian Asian,
yes.
who also
Yes.
who married a Caucasian. But then again, that's the common denominator, who also felt very uncomfortable in certain parts of the country. So yeah, I think there is something to that.
But see, I disagree. I think to a level, but I totally disagree because I have a lot of experiences of friends and stuff that were Puerto Rican and married somebody that's black, or somebody black marrying somebody that was Filipino. And at the end of the day, it's more colorism than anything. Okay. So, and that's the issue. My best friend growing up, he had his girlfriend who eventually became his wife. She was Filipino. Okay. And her mother, their family disowned her. Okay. Because, and see, that's where we don't understand. We think everything is black and white, but it's really not. And in India, my friend Sean, he's a black dude and he's married to an Indian woman. And that was a huge thing for their culture. Right. And then his parents. Right. So it really, and I see the point that, yes, black and white. And again, most of us think that, but I know people that if you married a Puerto Rican person that was dark skinned, if a Puerto Rican person married anybody, that if the Puerto Rican person was light skinned and they married somebody that was dark skinned, they would be held to pay with their family.
Let me say this though, Tony. In my experience, and you guys on the panel can chime in, black folks don't do that unless it's a white person. They will be accepting of any. Now, yes, the Filipino family might castigate this person, or yes,
so that's fair.
Whatever.
That's fair.
The black folks
that's
accept
fair.
everybody except the white chick.
That's fair.
Right?
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. I mean, they're getting better at it today. They're getting better at it today, right? And well, here's the thing, though. Let's be fair, though, too, right? This wasn't the way from the get-go. Okay. The bottom line is you would get strung up if you were looking at somebody white. So that's where that come from. Okay. So it wasn't because they're racist. It was just more of, we can't be around them, right? Because there's trouble coming our way, right? I mean, buddy, what was the flick? You ever see the movie, what was the flick with my man? With Denzel, No. It was about my man, the Blues. What was it called? Where he was, he was.
Mo Better Blues.
Not Mo Better Blues, but it was the other one where he was he was the detective. That was a good one too.
Yes, it was.
Mississippi Masala. But the other one where he I forget the name of the movie, right? But the bottom line is this: at the end of the day, black people, they wouldn't automatically just like, we don't want the white woman. It was just, or the white boy. It was just more of a fear factor. Okay. That if we intermingle with them, they're going to burn our house down, or they're going to lynch my son. That's really where that came from. Right. And so even if the white woman family disown them, they ain't lynching them. See what I'm saying? They're not, even if the black people don't like them, they're not burning them at the stake. All right. So that was
that we
the
know
issue.
of.
Right.
Well, do you want to hear a funny story? So my mother, who is a product of the 60s, she goes out and protests. Like, she protests at the Tesla dealerships and everything like that with her little signs and everything. And my dad won't go. Even at the age of 80, he will not go, because they will be treated differently if the police or whomever comes looking to round up people, or if there's anything that goes down, she'll be treated differently than he will. So he doesn't go to these protests with her. And all these years later, they're still dealing with that.
You know, one of the issues, though, and that's from an outward. So what we're talking about is more external, right? And I remember, again, going back to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And Tiffany, I'm going to position this to you because, you know, your parents were interracial couple, the question. But one of the things that also has to be navigated is that the lived experiences of the two. Yeah. Okay. Where one grew up in an area where, you know, it wasn't a big deal. And then the other is the minority part of the equation. They navigate the world totally different. And now you bring two people together, and not only they're fighting the external world, they're also can be fighting the internal world.
I got married and I realized like, whoa, like this is a huge thing. And I am now responsible to like learn and be a part of this. And I mean, it's not without its bumps and bruises. Like we'd been married 2 years and we were at his parents' house and I said a comment that in my white brain made total sense. And it was highly offensive to his family. And it went very poorly. I mean, I ended up downstairs crying. Yeah. Jeff is upstairs. I can hear him like yelling, defending me. And I mean, it was a very difficult conversation. It was a scene. Yeah. It was a scene. And later on, one of Jeff's sisters was very great. I came upstairs. We kind of resolved it. Well, really, your dad just put it to rest because your dad is.
He settled the matter.
He was like, we all racist. We all love Nikki. It's over. I was like, oh my gosh. But anyways, his sister came down and just talked with me for a while. Like, this is why that's so offensive. Like in our culture, like this is what we're told is beauty. And the way that you framed that made that sound like you believe that's beautiful, which makes us feel not beautiful and not seen. And again, it was totally ignorance on my part. I come home and I'm talking to one of my best girlfriends is black and we were chatting about it and I was like, it was a comment out of ignorance, but it certainly was not intended to cause pain and I basically got roasted for it. And she was like, at what point as a Caucasian, when your ignorance is hurting people of color, do you own that ignorance and change it so that we don't have to keep saying I'm sorry? Right? And I just remember sitting there like, whoa, like that's totally accurate. Like, and being married to a black man, and now we have children, biracial children who will, 75% of biracial children that are black and white self-identify as black when they're an adult. So I'm like, I gotta fix this. I have to educate myself. I have to be more aware of like what this world looks like. What does the lens of a person of color look like in America? Because I have learned over the last 12 years, it is night and day from my white lens. Right. And not in a bad or a good. I mean, it just is. Like their experience is different than ours.
So based on the clip, right, she had to, look, all of a sudden she thought she was saying something that was nice, but found out that she was offending somebody. So Tiffany, and then Gayle, I want to come to you, but Tiffany, based on that, talk a little bit, did your parents, because they came from different cultures, they came from different backgrounds, did they have to navigate a little bit in terms of your mother learning more about what your father dealt with and stuff to that nature?
Yeah, definitely. My from the inner city, one parent, and it was more than just ethnicity. It was just also the background as well. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of navigation. But luckily, everybody on both sides of the family was very opening and welcoming. So there was none of that, like what was being talked about earlier. None of that, I'm going to disown you or anything like that. That never was anything in my family.
Okay, Gayle?
So I think, how do I say this? So let's use you and I as an example. So we each grew up totally different. I grew up in a town and that was predominantly white and Irish. We had, and I say this with respect, but this is how like my town labeled. There was a token Asian family and a token black family. I didn't think anything of it as a kid. I just thought, people are people. People can be an ass no matter what color they are. And that's how I grew up. When I met Tony, I assumed that he grew up in the same way. I didn't look at him to be a different color. I didn't even look at him as if he grew up with a different background in a different area. I just had assumptions, and I had to learn and I had to navigate. Some was very difficult, some was very easy, but it was ignorance, but ignorance that I never experienced that part of what he experienced. He didn't experience some of what I experienced. And so it was kind of merging those two together and kind of understanding where we each came from. I think that was the hardest part for me. With our girls, who are now 17 and 18, when they were younger, I was very involved in their education. I wanted to make sure that that they didn't have special opportunity, but they had opportunity that everybody else had, the same opportunity. And I think Tony taught me that indirectly. So I think our biggest obstacle is this understanding where we each came from, not being ignorant or racist, but just because that just wasn't our life. And we had to understand that everybody grows up differently. I grew up in a town of 10,000. That was my little life until I went to college.
Do you feel, from an emotional safety perspective, that it was harder for him to transverse that divide to meet you, or harder for you to meet him? When you said he had to learn some things about you, you had to learn some things about him. Who had the most learning? Who had the greatest learning curve in that regard, in your experience?
I can only answer for me.
Okay.
So I think it was me.
Okay.
Honestly, I probably think I had the biggest learning curve, but I don't know. He may think differently, because I grew up like Beaver Cleaver.
But see, here's the thing though. I grew up, so this is the issue, that Black people know white people. All right.
Yes, Lord.
Black people know rich white people, poor white people. We know how people live. We know how they think, the whole 9 yards. So for me, it was just more learning your mother's name. All right. And your father's name and your brothers and sisters. There was more of that. But just in terms of the culture part, I didn't have to learn anything when it came to that, because I experienced that growing up in almost every endeavor, right? And the issue is white people understanding our culture because they don't assimilate and they don't actually really spend time to understand. So to answer your question, it was more of that, right? And so, yeah.
But to be
Go
fair,
ahead.
as you say, to be fair, they don't have to.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. They don't. They don't. So we have to learn them. We have to learn them. See, and again, just jumping in, let's just go back to history, right? Mm-hmm. Black people were servants in white people's houses. Okay. And a lot of times the Black maid, or whatever you want to call her, she was bringing the kids up. She was doing everything. So Black people would go home. See, they know how white people live. They know how they interact. They know that was because we were in their house. And at the end of the day, we were working for them in the whole 9 yards. But it wasn't the opposite. Okay? That's the issue. They wasn't coming into our homes and having dinner. All right? They wasn't sitting on our front porch. They would talk at work. Right? And hey, Joe, how you doing? And this and that, right? Or the neighbor would wave, hey, how you doing? How's your lawn? It's good. Oh yeah, good. But in terms of interaction, in terms of a family dynamic in a house where you get to know everyone and see how people interact, that didn't happen. And that's mostly the issue, because they're doing a lot of their learning on TV.
Right? You're exactly right, because my learning was the Jeffersons.
Right.
And I'm not being funny. I'm not being crude.
Right. Absolutely.
I just wasn't exposed to that.
Mm-hmm. Right. It reminds me of a story, and it's not a movie. I'm not Tony, but it's been numerous times. My wife and I have been at Sam's or at Kroger or at a grocery store or at the mall, and I've seen someone from work, and I've been like, "Oh, that's the vice president or whatever. Or that's this person or that." And she was like, "Why didn't he speak to you?" I was like, "Oh, I don't have on a suit." Like he has, like, he has no idea what I look like in civilian clothes. Like we, like, and I didn't take it as a negative from him or her. It's just that for whatever reason, over time I've experienced, because initially when I was younger, I used to get offended. Like, oh, dude gonna act like he didn't know me, or she gonna act like she didn't know me. And then when you come up on them, they're like, oh my God. And I realized after 2 times of that happening, they really didn't realize that was Chris. They really, outside of without the tie on, without the environment, they're just trying to, they got their blinders on and they're getting through their day. And it's not a situation where that type of recognition is required. Whereas, and I was asking, and it's funny, we have to keep our head on a swivel. We have to be aware and peep out the circumstance. But
let me ask you this though, bro. Let me ask you this: if you saw the dude and he was in a swimsuit, would you recognize him?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you see that? So that has nothing to do with it, right? It has nothing to do with it. It's just that person don't acknowledge you. Okay. Yeah. See, we got to be dressed up for somebody to notice us. That doesn't make any sense. All right.
It happened at least 5 times.
Buddy,
my wife is so confused by it.
But there you go. Right. Because, but he could be running around butt naked. You know who he is. Okay.
And it goes back to that thing that we were talking about where we have there are different expectations, so
that's correct.
To Chris's point, like
that's what I was getting.
He doesn't necessarily need to know or care, but what we need to be way more aware of our surroundings and things like that.
And that's fair. But it also tells me about the person. Okay. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we don't have a relationship. Okay. If you run into me at the store and don't know me, I got to throw a tie on and come back out. I go in the bathroom, throw a suit on, come back out. Hey, Tony, what's going on? Stop. Nah. But Cynthia, based on the clip we just saw, what's your thoughts?
It looked like to me, and I was really pleased that she heard the sister-in-law's comment, and she took it as a teachable moment.
Correct.
She got it, especially raising biracial children in this country. You have to understand the expectation, the challenges, and all of it. And you love who you love, but you better understand it. You better understand it. And I was just pleased that she took the time to ask the question of her friend. And I really want to understand this. Why was that insulting? And because she didn't see it that way, but she changed her thinking. And if everybody could do that, just think about it.
My girl, it's so true.
Think about it.
So true.
Everybody could do that.
Here's the thing. I'll tell you this real quick, and then I want to get final thoughts from you guys. Is when I was working at Warner Media, and I was doing the open conversation on race, and I was working with one of the DEI guys, and we were supposed to get together and do something, and I emailed him and say, hey man, I just want to get a few minutes so we can have a quick powwow, okay? And he emailed me back and said, Tony, powwow is a microaggression for Native Americans, okay? And I was like, oh, I did not know, okay? And I thanked him. Hey man, I didn't know. Thank you for letting me know, okay? And I don't even use it any longer.
If you like what you hear and want to join us on this journey of making uncomfortable conversations comfortable, please subscribe to a Black Executive Perspective podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hit subscribe now to stay connected for more episodes that challenge, inspire, and lead the change.
Okay, so this can happen. Can happen at any time to anybody when you're talking about other groups. And then to your point, Cynthia, once it's brought to your attention, now your job is to understand and be able to get better at it, right? So
exactly. I remember a similar story. It was at AT&T, it was a Latin American group in ERG, and they were working with the corporate chief corporate officer, and on an initiative, and they got it done. And then he said, "Andele, andele," and they were like looking at him like, you better not start your car. Okay? You know. And these were educated Latin Americans, and they were ready to slice him. Okay, so it happens all the time. And this was the communications guy for the company. You know better than that. And he thought he was part of the crowd, and he could easily say that, but it was very offensive. And we're not born knowing, because for me, I was all black high school, all black community, on and on and on, and you had to learn quickly.
Yep. And Cynthia, I was just going to say that maybe he didn't know. Honestly, as long as they're willing and open to receiving what they said was wrong, honestly, maybe they didn't know.
But because he was the boss, they didn't even know what to do other than to talk about it amongst themselves. That's how I heard about it. And I said, and my recommendation was, you need to tell him, because he could be in an even bigger setting and say something like that.
And that's it. And that's it. You got to tell him. Go ahead, Chris. And then we got to get final thoughts.
Oh, okay. I was just going to ask a quick question. And if you don't want to answer this can be edited out, Tiffany, because you guys sparked an interest of mine. I know that growing up, I was told verbatim how to be black, act black, or this is what we do. In a biracial situation, are you, Tiffany, or were you told, about blackness and how to be black, and then about whiteness and how to be white?
Oh, I am the best code switcher you will ever want to know. I mean,
but
it wasn't anything that was told to me. But I would say around the time of high school, and I'm curious to know if you experienced this, Gayle and Tony, with your daughters, but around the time of high school, you have to choose. Are you going to be part of the black group, or are you going to be part of the white group? And that was that was an interesting point of time in my life.
Okay.
Well, you heard in the clip, she said 75% of biracial kids, all right, black and white, they choose to be black.
Right.
All right, 75%. So
that's how, in most cases, the world sees
them.
That's the box. Exactly.
That's what my mother used to say to me. She said, when people look at you, they see a black woman. They don't see a white girl.
There's no question.
So, yeah.
There's no question.
So with our oldest, she has a part-time job. I will not say where. However, when people come to the window, they ask her what she is.
Wow.
What are you?
As if that has anything to do with anything.
Yeah, I'm not going to say, I was going to say something else, but go ahead, Gayle. Yeah.
Exactly. But I don't mean to say, but in terms of how they identify themselves, Tiffany, you were right on point. They identify themselves as black. This started in middle school. They don't talk about it as much now. One just graduated high school. One is in their last year of high school. But when we would talk, they would identify themselves as black. And for me, as their white mother, at first I was like, oh my God, well, you're half and half. Okay. And it kind of hurt.
Okay.
But then I could understand why they did it as well. And so my initial reaction, and this is where my final thought is coming, my initial reaction was, oh my God, why are you doing that? Because you're hurting me. But then when I was open to understanding why they did it, I was kind of, I said, okay, kind of sad that they have to do that or thought that way, but I get it.
Yep.
Let me ask you this, Gayle.
It kind of opened me. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, before you jump into the final thought, significantly, if they had have chosen to identify themselves as white, as a mama bear, are you ready for that fight for the rest of their lives? Because the world is going to fight them if they say, I want
as white.
Yes.
Well, see, I don't think they should identify as one or the other.
Okay,
they are both, and they should be proud of it. And that was kind of like, a little hurtful. Like, why are you choosing sides? Because don't choose sides. You are who you are, and if people don't like it, they can suck it. Because I don't have time for that, and they don't have time for that. Be proud of who you
Society
are.
makes you choose.
And I think that
Yeah.
they're
Right. But that's it. They are proud, but society, that's just about mine.
society.
Yeah.
What is that ounce? Is it the ounce of blood?
Yeah,
You're black.
Yeah, the
No,
drop
not,
of
not
blood.
even. It's a drop of blood. Drop of blood.
Drop of
Right.
blood.
So
Drop
you
of
can
blood.
say, hold on, we had that. Remember we did the Asian American
Sarah
thing?
Jane.
No. Sarah Jane. Yeah. But
Sarah Jane,
yeah,
for sure.
Sarah Jane, right? You guys seen the movie Imitation of Life?
Imitation of Life.
Right? Sarah
And
Jane.
because she looked, you would have.
You
known
never
she-
seen Imitation
you
of
would have
Life,
known-
Tiffany?
Yes, of course.
I got to add
You
that.
No,
to the
Tiffany
list.
hasn't.
What?
Yeah,
Oh my
we'll send
God.
you and it's actually two
lot of
versions. It's a
Turner.
1930s version and a 1950s.
My mother said the 1930s the girl was black, where the 1950s the girl was white, right?
girl was white,
But
exactly.
but you watch that movie, I'm telling you, you will see what time it is, right? She was white. She grew her mother was as dark as me, and she was as light as Gayle. She was white, right? And she saw for her own eyes how the world treats black people, and she wanted to be white. I mean, again, we're getting sidetracked, but check it out. But I was going to say, when we did the Asian American one, when my man, what was his name, Aguawa, said, my skin is just as white as he was from China. My skin is just as white as any white man. And they were like, no, you ain't. You still Chinese. So it don't matter. It don't matter, right? And so that's how the world saw him. That's how the world sees you. And unfortunately, you can go and tap dance and say, I'm this and that, but they make you choose. But you're definitely proud of who you are. But it's unfortunate. If somebody's pulling up to a drive-through and asking my daughter what she is, what does that tell you? All right, before they order their food, what does that tell you? Okay, so you ain't got no choice, unfortunately, but we do have a choice now. We got to get final thoughts. We want to get everybody's final thoughts on the episode. Keep it tight. So, Cynthia, I'm going to start with you.
I think that, and I'm going to just repeat what I already said. In order to get to be this society that we would love to live in, people are going to have to be more accepting and understanding of differences. And if they do that, we are on fire. But until that happens, we're struggling.
Thanks, Cynthia. Tiffany?
I think this has been a full circle somewhat. The moment we started with Trump, and now we're talking about interracial relationships. And I think diversity is always going to be an issue in this country, and racism and all of that. But I do feel like we have come a long way, and I'm optimistic.
And Gayle, end this out.
So all of us have the same goal, honestly. We just want to be happy, we want to be healthy, and we want a fulfilling life. If we can just be open to understanding that, no matter how we look on the surface, I think that the world will be a better place.
Yeah. So we are all optimistic, I think. That's what I hear everybody saying.
Hopeful.
Optimist.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I think, as we come to end, thank the guests, thank Cynthia, thank you, Tiffany, thank you, Gayle. I think in the idea of the us against them, the divisiveness that politics can create, the fact that we ended with a story of love that became legal so long ago and has resounded throughout, because now interracial is everything. When I hear the term interracial, I immediately think black, white. But that clip let me expand my thought process to think of Asians and Indians and all these different people coming together on the concept of love, like Cynthia said. It's just, if we could just, what the world needs now, right?
Love.
Just a little
Sweet
love. So I wanted to thank you guys for coming and giving us your perspective, giving us your wisdom, your nurturing, because that's absolutely what we needed on Pull Up, Speak Up.
Absolutely. So thank you all. So I think it's now time for
Tony's Tidbit.
And the tidbit today: in a world fractured by politics, race, and ideology, basic human acts like listening and empathizing becomes radical. People resist the urge to dehumanize, to oversimplify, to shout past one another. True listening disrupts cycle of defensiveness and turns conflict into clarity. Empathy demands stepping aside outside our biases and choosing to see the full humanity in someone else's lived experience. That's not passive, that's work. And you heard a lot of that from our roundtable panel today.
Absolutely. We'd like to invite you and implore you to tune in to Need to Know with Dr. Nsinga Burton. Each week, Need to Know provides a segment where Dr. Nsinga Burton comes and gives her insights, her education, her entertainment that helps shape our community and our world. And so we implore you to check in to Need to Know with Dr. Nsinga Burton each week.
Absolutely. And don't miss the weekly episode of a Black Executive Perspective podcast where we bring those hardcore conversation and powerful insights on the issues that matter most. It's not just a discussion, it's a movement. You've seen a little bit today on our Pull Up, Speak Up. So don't miss your chance to tune in, be inspired, and join the conversation.
And then we always like to end with our call to action and remind you to incorporate LESS. Our goal here is to eliminate all forms of discrimination. And to achieve this, we're asking everyone to embrace less. And the first L stands for learn. You first want to learn how to embrace and understand and educate yourself on cultural and racial nuances.
And then after you learn, you have the letter E, which stands for empathy, right? Since you've learned, now you can be more empathetic to your friends and family because now you can put yourself in their shoes.
And then the first S stands for share. You want to share your insights and enlighten others. You don't want to hide it. You want to divide it.
And then the final S stands for stop. You want to actively stop discrimination as it walks in your path. So if Aunt Jenny or Uncle Joe says something at the Sunday dinner table that's inappropriate, you say, Auntie Jenny, Uncle Joe, we don't believe that. We don't say it. And you stop it right there. So if everyone can incorporate less, LESS, we'll build a more fair, more understanding world, and we'll all see the change that we want to see because less will become more.
We want to remind you to check out previous episodes of a Black Executive Perspective podcast. Check out Need to Know, but we absolutely always enjoy the riveting conversation that comes from Pull Up, Speak Up. So be on the lookout for future episodes of Pull Up, Speak Up with a series of panelists that are renowned in what they do. We want to make sure that you check out the website, sign up for the newsletter, leave us a review. Tell us what you want us to speak about or what you may have interest in. Subscribe. And where can they find us, Tony?
You can find the Black Executive Perspective podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can follow us on our socials of LinkedIn, X, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at a Black Exec. For our fabulous guests, Gayle McMillan, Tiffany Morrison, and Cynthia Allison Hall. For the co-host with the most, my man Chris B. Reed, I'm Tony Tidbit. We talked about it. We learned about it. We laughed about it. We're still going to strive about it, and we're going to thrive about it. We love you, and guess what? We're out.
A Black Executive Perspective.